And they were approaching Jerusalem. They were at Bethpage and Bethany by the Mount of Olives. And he said to two of his disciples, "Go into the village opposite you. And when you enter, you will find a donkey colt tied up on which no one has ever ridden. Untie it and bring it to me. If anyone says to you, 'What are you doing?' you tell him that the Lord has need of it, but he'll send it right back." So they went, and they found a colt tied up on the street by the door. They began untying it. Some of those standing by said, "What are you doing untying that colt?" And they said what the Lord had said. And they allowed him to take it. And they bring the colt to Jesus. And they put their cloaks on it. And Jesus sat on it. And other people put their cloaks on the way. And others leafy branches cut from the fields. And those up front and those bringing up the rear were chanting, "Freedom, Lord! Blessed the one coming in the name of the Lord! Blessed the coming empire of our ancestor David! Freedom in the highest places!" And he went into Jerusalem, into the temple. And after checking everything out, because the hour was late, they went back to Bethany. And coming out of Bethany early in the morning, Jesus was hungry. And seeing in a distance a fig tree that was in leaf, he went to see if perhaps it might have some fruit on it. But coming to it, he found nothing but leaves. And he said, "May no one ever eat fruit from you again." And his disciples heard it. And they went into Jerusalem, into the temple. And he began driving out those who were buying and selling in the temple. And he overthrew the tables of those selling doves and the chairs of those changing money. And he wouldn't let anyone carry anything through the temple. And he was saying, "Isn't it written, 'My house shall be a house of prayer for all the Gentile nations'? But you have made it into a haven for crooks." And the high priests and the legal experts heard it. And they began seeking how to arrest Jesus in order to destroy him, because they were afraid of the crowd. Because the crowd was spellbound by his teaching. And they went to Bethany. And as they were coming out early in the morning, they saw the fig tree withered to its roots. And Rock said, "Rabbi, look, the fig tree you cursed, it's withered." Jesus said, "Trust courageously in God. And I tell you, you could say to this mountain, 'Be taken up and thrown into the sea,' and if you don't doubt, but really trust that you will receive it, it will be so for you." So whenever you're praying, trust that you will receive what you're asking for, and it'll be so. And when you're praying, pardon the offenses of anyone that you have something against, so that your Father in heaven might pardon you your offenses. And they went into the temple in Jerusalem. And the high priests and legal experts come out at him and gather around. And they say, "By whose authority are you doing these things? Who gave you this authority?" And he said, "I'll ask you a question. If you answer me, I'll tell you by whose authority I'm doing these things. The baptism of John, did it come from heaven or from humans? Answer me." They began arguing amongst themselves, saying, "If we say from heaven," he's going to say, "And why didn't you believe in him? But if we say from humans," see, because they knew that the crowds held that John was a prophet. And so they said, "We don't know." And he said, "Well, then neither am I telling you by whose authority I'm doing these things.